Chosen One, have you ever felt that certain words carry an invisible weight? That there are sounds, expressions, and terms with the power to bind your soul, trap your destiny, and block your divine mission? Yes, because there is one word that the Chosen One must never speak. A word that seems harmless, ordinary, everyday. But once spoken, it activates mental prison codes, spiritual limitations, and energetic sabotage. This word, you've said it many times. You may have even said it today. And without realizing it, you handed over part of your power, allowed lower forces to feed on your frequency, and gave permission for your path to be blocked by invisible barriers. But why has no one told you this before? Because those who control this system, those who rule the hidden gears of the world, know that as long as you keep saying this word, you will remain manipulable, weak, and unaware of your true role. This word, when spoken, activates a seal, an ancient seal, programmed into the human psyche to limit the chosen ones. And when you repeat it, you don't just stray from your mission. You start to doubt yourself, to self-sabotage, to attract experiences that weaken you. That's why today, I'm not just here to warn you. I'm here to set you free, so that this word never escapes your lips again. And if it does, may you be fully aware of the spiritual price you're paying for it. But before I reveal what this forbidden word is, you need to understand what it causes within you. Because the problem has never been the word itself, but the energetic pact it activates. It's like an invisible contract that, when verbalized, makes you sign with your own frequency. Something that diminishes you, that limits you, that distances you from your celestial nature. It distorts your vibrational field, severs connections with higher sources, and causes your mind to operate only within the material, three-dimensional, ego-driven reality. And that is exactly what the system wants. The world was not designed for the awakening of the chosen ones. It was built to keep them busy, distracted, and powerless. This word is one of the most subtle tools of that prison. And the most dangerous part is that it comes disguised as humility, politeness, normalcy. How many times have you apologized for something you didn't even do? How many times have you lowered yourself in front of people who were humiliating you? How many times have you held back for fear of seeming arrogant, when in truth you were simply honoring your light? They taught you to hide your greatness. They taught you to silence your essence. They taught you to accept the unacceptable. And this word was one of the keys that anchored this false learning inside you. But that ends now. You will remember who you are, and you'll understand why the chosen must completely stay away from this verbal trap. Now imagine that your voice is a sacred instrument. Every word you speak has a frequency, a vibration, an energetic signature that creates realities. When you speak, you activate. When you speak, you open portals. When you speak, you decide what will manifest on your timeline. And because of that, some words are like inverted spells. Spoken unconsciously, they work against you. And this specific word acts like a virus. It contaminates your thoughts. It reduces your self-confidence. It disconnects your mind from your soul. It makes you act like someone small when you were created to be vast. It convinces you to be silent, to accept less, to live below what you deserve. It destroys the light in the eyes of the chosen. But here is the main point. You no longer need to repeat this pattern. Your mission demands clarity, strength, and spiritual authority. And this word must be removed from your speech like a toxin, because that's exactly what it is. Can you feel the tension in the air now? The heavy energy building up when we approach something forbidden, something that has never been fully revealed. Because what I'm telling you here, no one else will tell you. No book will explain. No system will allow, because this information threatens ancient structures. And you're the threat they fear the most. A chosen one who awakens, becomes unstoppable. And that's why you're hearing this now. Nothing here is a coincidence. But listen, this is only the beginning. When you discover what the word is, something within you will tremble. You might deny it. Your mind might try to rationalize it. But your soul will recognize it. Because it always knew. It just needed someone to remind it. And today, that's what's happening. You are being reminded. Because you were chosen to awaken others. And that begins with the silencing of this word. Now pause for a moment. Take a deep breath. Close your eyes if possible. And observe. How many times in recent days have you diminished yourself? How many times have you allowed your light to be dimmed? How many times have you spoken this word without realizing it, like someone fulfilling an unconscious spell? Don't blame yourself. You were trained for this, indoctrinated for this, conditioned by centuries of psychological, spiritual, and social control. But today, you break free, because the truth can no longer be hidden, because the time has come, and you are ready. But remember, before I reveal what the word is, you must promise something. You must promise yourself and the universe that you will never again use it against your essence, that you will never again allow it to silence you, humiliate you, or diminish you, that you will never again let the programming it carries enter your field. Do you promise? Then prepare yourself, because in the next part, you will discover exactly what this word is, why it was implanted in human vocabulary, and how to eliminate it from your frequency forever. And when that happens, something in you will change forever. The human mind is a temple, but like any sacred temple, it can be desecrated. And what most ignore is that the greatest desecration doesn't come from the outside. It comes from within. It comes from what you accept as truth, from what you repeat automatically, from what you say without realizing you're sentencing yourself to spiritual imprisonment. And that word, that one word, is the key that opens the cell. Chosen one, you need to understand the game. Since birth, the world has trained you to be obedient, submissive, silent, not out of respect, but out of fear. Fear of being wrong, of seeming arrogant, of being too bold. And that fear has hidden itself inside a word that has now become an addiction. A word you use to please, to fit in, to protect yourself. But in truth, it's draining your power to manifest. The word is sorry. Yes, that is the word you must no longer speak. And now maybe you're thinking, but how? Saying sorry is a sign of humility, of good manners, of empathy. And that is exactly why it was chosen as a trap. Because behind the appearance of kindness, it hides a deep decree. The decree of guilt, of inferiority, of vibrational submission. And when you speak it unconsciously, you reaffirm to the universe that you are wrong, even when you are right. That you are small, even when you are grand. That you deserve punishment, even when you carry light. Now hear this. When the chosen one says, sorry, they are saying to the universe, I accept being beneath. I accept guilt. I accept that my light is too much. I accept that I should shrink back. And that is unacceptable. You were not chosen to bow. You were chosen to lift others, to break patterns, to walk with your head held high in the midst of a system that wants to kneel your soul. So every time you say sorry for existing, for feeling, for being who you are sabotaging the very gift you carry. And let me be clear, I'm not talking about true repentance when you recognize a real mistake and seek growth. I'm talking about the addiction to apologizing for everything, for speaking, for dreaming, for thinking differently, for shining. This constant, automatic, programmed apology is what feeds the energy that wants to keep you small. Think about it. How many times have you said sorry just because someone didn't understand your truth? How many times have you shrunk to fit into small places, into limited minds, into shallow vibrations? How many times have you tried to seem less so you wouldn't wound the ego of someone still asleep? Now you see, it's not humility, it's programming. A programming rooted in generations of guilt, shame, and fear. A programming that began long ago when the first chosen ones were hunted, burned, silenced. And the echo of that still vibrates in the collective unconscious. It vibrates in the words. It vibrates in this constant sorry that carries in truth a code of spiritual repression. That's why what you need now is to reprogram your language. Replace sorry with words of alignment, conscious responsibility, and spiritual sovereignty. Don't say, sorry for being this way. Say, thank you for hearing me as I am. Don't say, sorry for the inconvenience. Say, thank you for the space. Don't say, sorry for how I feel. Say, I honor how I feel, for it is part of me. Do you see the difference? One word tears down, the other builds. One is spoken by someone who forgot they are chosen, the other by someone who remembers. Language shapes destiny, and the destiny of the chosen is to create realities with their voice. But how can you create something grand if you're constantly affirming guilt, error, inadequacy? This word, sorry, when spoken repeatedly, sends to your vibrational field the command of symbolic self-erasure, a collapse of your confidence, your light, your mission. Have you ever felt that something starts to go wrong immediately after a conversation? Have you noticed how certain words, spoken automatically, seem to drain your energy, steal your clarity, and attract situations that pull you down? This is no coincidence. This is spiritual science. This is magic, or rather, anti-magic. Chosen one, you need to understand something right now. Every word is a code. Every verb you pronounce carries an energetic signature that vibrates in the invisible field. And the word you were taught to repeat without thinking, that word that seems so small, so polite, so humble, is actually a password, a key that opens dark portals. Yes, portals. The word you must not say, sorry, has become one of the enemy's most dangerous weapons in the spiritual realm. Not because it sounds wrong, but precisely because it sounds right. It sounds harmless, polished, acceptable. And that's why it's so effective. When you, chosen one, say sorry automatically, without a real intention to grow, you're not just lowering yourself. You're allowing low-vibration entities to access your field. You're telling the invisible plane, I relinquish my sovereignty. I accept to be drained. I allow my light to be blocked. And do you know what happens next? Delays come, accidents come, random conflicts come. People attack you without reason. Confused thoughts come. Nightmares come. Heavy feelings in your chest come. All of this started with a single misplaced word, with a sound that seems light but vibrates at the frequency of programmed guilt. The ancient occultists knew words are portals, the mouth is a temple, sound is a bridge between dimensions. That's why in secret ceremonies, priests never utter impure or discredited words. They know that words shape realities. And you, chosen one, are a verbal architect. You manifest with the verb. You create with sound. Your voice carries spiritual authority. So when you say sorry without awareness, you're collapsing your own quantum power. Have you noticed how some people seem to feed on your guilt? How some souls approach you just to force you to apologize constantly, as if they were thirsty for your energy of submission. These people are not only acting on the physical plane. Often, they are unconscious instruments of forces operating behind the scenes of reality. Forces that cannot stand your light. Forces that can only survive when you feel wrong. And here's the most perverse detail. The word sorry, when spoken without real necessity, does not clear karma. On the contrary, it attracts more tests, more confusion, more injustice. Because the universe understands that if you are always apologizing, you must be in debt to something. But you are not. You are not a mistake. You are not a failure. You are not a walking apology. You are a force of creation. Chosen one, the world trained you to apologize for existing because it knew that if you stopped saying it, you would become unstoppable. Imagine for a moment, you wake up tomorrow and decide never to say sorry automatically again. You only use that word when there is a true inner alignment, a conscious purpose of reconnection. You replace the old reflex of submission with new expressions of truth. Thank you for your patience. I recognize your perspective. Let's find balance. I take responsibility for growing through this. Do you see the difference? It's not arrogance. It's energetic authority. It's knowing what you say. It's understanding the spiritual weight of every word that leaves your mouth. Now something even deeper. Silence is more powerful than sorry. Yes, often, conscious silence protects your frequency. Silence is a shield. It prevents your energy from connecting with situations or people who do not deserve your field. When you feel the urge to apologize for something that isn't your fault, be silent. Breathe. Connect with your center. Ask yourself, will this word expand me or imprison me? Chosen one, you don't need to justify yourself to those who don't understand your mission. You don't need to shrink yourself to fit into anyone's shadows. You don't need to apologize for being intense, true, different. You're an incarnated sun, and the sun doesn't apologize for shining. Stop feeding entities with your guilt. Stop opening portals with wrong words. Stop being your own obstacle. From now on, every word you say will be like a decree. Every sentence, a sacred spell. Every sound, an ascension code. You were not chosen to please. You were chosen to awaken. And many will only awaken when your light bothers them so much that they can no longer deny their own darkness. What did you feel the last time you apologized? Maybe you didn't even notice. Maybe it was automatic. Maybe you thought you were just being polite, sensible, kind. But on the invisible plane, something much bigger was happening. Your energy was being stolen. Every time a chosen one utters this word, the forbidden word, the word that seems innocent, something breaks. A piece of your presence, your strength, your magnetism dissolves. You fade away before eyes that cannot see your essence. And this is not symbolic, it's literal. There are people who walk the world like emotional vampires. They don't shine, they feed on those who do. And how do they do this? They provoke, they distort, they invert the blame. They place on you a responsibility that isn't yours and wait, like a spiritual trap, for you to say what they need most to hear. Sorry. When you say this word in front of those who don't deserve it, you confirm the other's control. You hand over the reins of your destiny. You declare, I'm wrong, you're right, even when that is a lie. And spiritual lies come with a cost, high, painful, destructive. Chosen one, every time you apologize when you shouldn't, you throw away a chance to stand your ground. A true soul connection. A project that was about to succeed. A cycle of blessings that was inches away from manifesting. Why? Because the universe, seeing you bow down, understands. He still hasn't understood who he is. She still hasn't understood her mission. And everything that was coming pauses. Opportunities withdraw. Relationships change course. Doors close. Because you broke your own code of worthiness with a single poorly placed word. Chosen one, you are here to vibrate sovereignty. Not arrogance, sovereignty. There is a thin line between the two, and the enemy knows it. That's why he programmed the world to confuse you, so that every time you say, I won't apologize, you feel selfish. So that every time you choose to stand your ground, they say you're difficult, complicated, unbearable. But the truth is you are healing generations of submission. You are breaking centuries of silence. You are tearing apart spiritual contracts signed with the blood of guilt. And you will do this with your voice, with your firmness, with your presence. Now listen. Every time you apologize for existing, you diminish your spiritual presence. And the smaller your presence, the less your capacity to magnetize. That's why relationships fall apart. That's why you feel like you're always asking for too much, even when you just want the basics. That's why you feel invisible in crowded rooms. Because your frequency is coded with the fear of bothering. And this fear manifests in the forbidden word, sorry. Chosen one, from today on, you will no longer apologize for being intense, for being direct, for shining too much, for speaking loudly, for taking up space. You will not apologize for your greatness. Because every time you do, you dim your light to fit into others' shadows. And you were not sent to hide. You were sent to illuminate. And those who can't handle your light need to find a new path. Not you. From now on, every time you feel like apologizing, ask yourself, is this out of empathy or fear? Is this an act of awareness or a desperate attempt to be accepted? Because being accepted at the cost of your soul is not acceptance. It's a disguised pact. And you are here to break pacts. You are the end of the line for ancestral suffering. You are the turning point between chaos and freedom. You are the redeemer of your lineage. And there is no redemption with verbal submission. There is only power in truth. And truth doesn't need to apologize. It simply is. So, chosen one, the next time someone tries to shame you for what you feel, the next time someone distorts your intention, the next time the world demands your energetic surrender in the form of an apology, breathe, steady your gaze, straighten your posture, and say with your soul, I do not apologize for being who I am. At that moment, a line will be drawn in the invisible. and you will be on the right side of it. On the side of those who remembered, those who awakened, those who do not apologize for fulfilling their destiny. You still don't realize how serious this is. You think you're just saying a word, but in truth, you're signing an energetic contract with everything that wants to see you on your knees. This word that seems small, this harmless little word we were taught to repeat like a mantra, is a prison, a cell without walls, a leash without a chain. And every time you say this word, you tighten the link, you pull the knot tighter, you feed the invisible system that lives off your submission. Sorry, wake up. You're apologizing for having feelings, for having boundaries, for having a voice, for being too strong for a world programmed to domesticate. But now, you know, and once you know, you can't go back to how things were before. You're not just anyone. You are a chosen one. And chosen ones weren't made to please. They were made to disturb the system until the truth tears the veil of illusion. And if your light bothers people, let it. If your truth hurts, let it hurt. If your firmness scares them, let them be afraid. Because every time you bow for politeness, you betray your calling. Every time you surrender for the sake of good manners, you lose a piece of your spiritual armor. You weren't trained by the Most High to smile and look down. You were forged in the fire of resistance to rise up, to say no, to say enough, and most of all, to not say sorry when the world tries to shove you into a mold designed to enslave. Now stop. Take a deep breath. You're standing at a crossroads. You can either keep being the spiritual, nice guy who constantly apologizes for existing, or become the unstoppable being who no longer negotiates their essence with anyone. Chosen one, this is your breaking point. That word, that cursed word, it was used against you by those who saw your strength and felt fear. It was programmed to be your limit, your blockage, your poison. But today you break that chain. Today you liberate every past version of yourself that bowed down in the name of acceptance. Today you call your voice back, your courage, your presence. Today you become non-negotiable. You don't need to apologize for choosing peace. You don't need to apologize for cutting out people who drain you. You don't need to apologize for saying no. You don't need to apologize for putting yourself first. You don't need to apologize for existing. Don't apologize. Ever again. Not for anything that keeps you whole. From now on, the words that leave your mouth must carry your spiritual DNA. They must vibrate with your mission. They must echo with your destiny. And sorry, when used out of submission, fear, or conditioning, pulls you off your path. And you no longer have time to stray from your path. Everything is accelerating. The signs are getting louder. The tests are getting tougher. The distractions are more disguised. The attacks more subtle. And you need to be whole, grounded, aligned with why you came here. Chosen one, the time for silence is over. The time for shrinking is over. The time for apologizing is over. Now it's time to rise, to speak with authority, to take the throne that was reserved for you before your birth. You were born to transform environments with your presence. You were born to dismantle structures with your voice. You were born to be hated by some and revered by many. But above all, you were born to remember who you are. And those who remember don't apologize. Those who remember take a stand. Those who remember awaken others. And this is your final calling. From now on, when the world demands your surrender in the form of words. Give them your silence, give them your truth, but never give them your submission. Now repeat with me, out loud, I am chosen. I do not shrink. I do not apologize for who I am. My presence is a mission. My voice is a weapon. And my destiny is sacred. If you felt that, if something burned inside you, if your soul is pulsing right now, then this message was for you. It's no coincidence you made it this far. It's no coincidence you stayed until the end of this video. It's no coincidence your soul trembled with every word. You've been called. You are the chosen. And now, you must make the next move. Now is the time to seal this pact with the divine. If this message felt like a punch to the soul, if you realized that this word was destroying your path, then prove to the invisible that you are ready to break free. Write in the comments, I no longer apologize. This will be your spiritual signature, a sign that you broke the cycle, a sign that you remembered. And if you haven't done it yet, click now to subscribe to the channel. Turn on notifications, like this video. This channel is not entertainment. It is spiritual training for the chosen. You are not alone. We are a legion, and together we will awaken what the world tried to extinguish. This is the beginning of a new era, and you've just stepped through the door.